Welcome to Dizzy Resolve. I'm Dr. Vicky Stewart, a dizziness recovery specialist with over 15 years of experience as a vestibular physiotherapist with a PhD in dizziness disorders. If you're living with chronic dizziness, whether it's vestibular migraine, triple PD, MDDS, anxiety-related dizziness, or something your doctors can't quite explain, you're in the right place. At Dizzy Resolve, we bring together science-backed education, real recovery stories, and a whole person approach. So you can move from confusion and fear to more clarity, calm, and confidence. You'll also hear from a range of experts across medicine, movement, mindset, and more, because lasting healing means looking at the whole picture. Please note, this content is for general education only and is not a substitute for medical advice. So always speak with your healthcare provider before making any changes. Subscribe now and let's change what's possible. Thank you very much, Farzana, for coming on and having a chat with me, because we're just at that end point of the shift. I think we finished a week or two ago officially. And you agreed to come on and have a chat with me about your experience. But if you can share just, well, firstly, welcome.
Thank you.
And can you let everyone know just a little bit about your life, what you want to share other than dizziness, just your life in general?
Okay, so I'm a mother of two teenage boys that keep me on my toes. You think, once they've grown older that they'll be more self-sufficient and independent, but yeah, they still need guidance and your involvement. But anyway, um,
You're not
uh,
filling me with much hope there. With mine are a little younger than yours, I think.
kept thinking every age, when we're not so dependent on you and requiring you that it'll get easier, but every age brings its own challenges. So anyway, they're good boys. And they keep me involved in their stuff and all that. So it's good. Um, I have a lovely
Lovely.
husband who's very supportive, and he brings out the calmness and steadiness in the whole family. He's very, very grounded. It takes a lot for him to be
Yeah.
worked up or upset about. He breezes through things. So I love that because I can explode or, go off on a tangent and he brings me back, to ground. So come March, April, I just had I don't know what it was. It's probably me just rushing around trying to fit things in. I had a hair appointment in the afternoon. It was a Saturday and I was trying to fit in things before I walked out the door, which was silly because I was running around. It was a hot day, but that was my first
Yeah.
start of. It just felt like I would collapse. It wasn't even dizziness. It was more low blood pressure sort of feeling like I had to sit down and I wasn't quite right.
Mhm.
So I sat down and it didn't go away. I thought maybe I was low on food, sugar, or water or something, but it didn't go away. So I had to cancel my hair appointment. I stayed home. And then, then I had that funny dizzy, movement caused it and whatnot. Kind of went away and then came and went away. And this was Saturday, and it didn't really go away till Monday, Tuesday. So then I went and had myself checked up with the GP. As usual, they start with all the basic tests. So I had the whole barrage of tests,
Yeah.
checking if I'm a diabetic, from glucose testing to low blood pressure to whatnot. All the test results came fine. There was nothing there. She also did the vestibular, which is the ear thing, testing, making me walk, with eyes closed and in a single line to see if my balance was out. But I kind of wasn't the balance that and I did drive to the surgery. So and I noticed that while I was driving, the dizziness wasn't there. It was more,
Mhm.
and it came and went. It wasn't all the time. Um,
Mhm.
so
What
I
made
went
your
back.
symptoms worse at that time?
They didn't really go worse. They kind of settled and they became a little bit mellow, like in a milder form. So when I went back to see the doctor for my test results, even to her, I said, like, they don't seem as bad as what they were a couple of days ago. And she said, look, see how you feel. If you feel like it is progressing and you're still feeling that, we can go and have a CAT scan and all of that sort of stuff. So basically having a brain scan to see if there's anything. But inside, kind of intuitively, I knew that there was nothing wrong with my brain. I remember distinctly going to someone's house for dinner, coming out of the car. It felt like I was a drunk because I was swaying, like I had that pull motion thing.
Yeah.
But once I got into the house and I started chatting and everything, it went away. Like it wasn't there anymore. Another occasion was I went to a wedding celebration. I felt really out of sorts, like I had those funny feeling in the evening getting there. Again, not while driving, but just getting there. And once I actually got up and started bopping and dancing, it just went away. It wasn't there. Like no symptoms whatsoever of dizziness. So I thought this is bizarre. Lizard pull, when you pull your head to one side and your view, and then doing your thumb and you know moving your eye to get your eyes steady. And I started meditating more religiously, which kind of helped because it calms your self down, and it's pretty good with and yeah, walking at night, even though if I felt like I was swaying a little bit, I still pushed my. The thing is, what I did, I never stopped any of the things that I normally do while I was having all of this. Like even if
Hmm.
I was having it and I needed to go shopping, I would go shopping. If I had to go and pick my boys somewhere, I would do it.
Hmm.
In the car, it was fine. If I had an appointment or catching up with friends, I still pushed myself and got myself out of the door. I noticed that if I was occupied, happy, and all that, the symptoms would probably, become milder and not be there. So I never stopped. So I did everything, never went
Yeah.
away.
And then, so then leading up to the shift, because I think you started in about September.
Yes.
So what was things like in September? Was it still there at that point?
There, it wasn't excessive, and there were two distinctive times that I noticed. Sometimes in the morning that I would have a little bit of a spin, and then again
Yeah.
towards around 5, 6 o'clock, towards just leading up to dinner time, and then it would settle. Yeah, so two distinctive times there.
Yeah.
But it made me really foggy as well. Like, and I was tired. I think it put a
Hmm.
lot of pressure on my brain, and I was tired, and I was taking naps in the afternoon. That was the only way I could cope with the tiredness. Come
Yeah.
September, I came across the shift. I saw it being because I was looking at things, and that's when I had a chat with you, and I said, "What can you offer more than what I'm doing?" And you said this would
Yeah.
be helpful, and I'm so glad that I did take up that offer. And
Did you have any hesitations or,
did think
you
about it because the cost. Look, I'll be honest, cost is
yeah.
always the thing.
Yeah.
Putting up, and but then I thought, what the heck, I always think about on the monetary or whatever, but well, what about my health and what if this works? So I
Yeah.
just took the plunge and I went in, and I'm so glad I did because it's been super, 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 super helpful.
And then so once you were inside the shift, what was some of the main takeaway things that you got out of it? Without going into too much detail, just in general. And I know it's probably not one thing, but if you could, what did you get out of it the most?
Understanding of your nervous system. I did have a
Mhm.
little bit of understanding anyway. I don't know if you know about Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So I've been twice to his meditation retreats up in Queensland when he was there
Oh,
in
have you?
West. Yeah. So kind of he goes through the neuroplasticity as well and explains all of that and how your brain
Yeah.
controls. He explains that, if you get up and just be the typical robot of the person that you were the other day, everything is still going to be the same. You have to change
Yeah.
yourself to bring a change in you. So that was always there. So when it got iterated or reaffirmed with your modules and studying it, it made more sense and
Mm.
sort of just overlaid what I'd learned before, but made more sense because it was clearer, it was more concise and in dot points, and because it'd been a while since I'd been to those retreats anyway, so it just made more sense, and it was nice to go through step by step through the week in a time, kind of like a time
Structured.
manner, yeah, to understand how your brain and your subconscious and what controls and the monkey brain, the chatter that goes on, and how to
Mhm.
control that, and how the fight and flight, is it fight and flight?
Yes. Yeah.
Takes over, and when you are in, kind of in that nervousness and anxiety or whatever, and it plays on your mind immensely, like it brings out these defenses, and that cortisol that pumps through you is not, it's not a good thing to have all the time. um
No, that's exactly right.
yeah. uh I've kind of
Excellent. Okay, because this is important. So
yeah.
yeah.
So I kind of understand the fight and flight a little bit more because I went through it 4 years ago when my father first had an accident at home. Ended up it was a big shock to me. And when he came back home after being in the hospital, he was in a different frame of mind as well as physically. He had become a little
Mhm.
dependent on us. So it affected me immensely. I think seeing a walking person before who was very self-independent and then becoming quite dependent in the sense, like even walking, he needed a frame before he didn't need a frame, that sort of thing. Anyway, it put me into that. But again, studying and understanding that it took a lot of brain power and constantly changing because you go into that what if happens, what if happens again, and your brain
Mhm.
plays on that. So I had to really stop my mind from thinking, no, everything is fine today. I don't need to think about tomorrow or what's going to happen tomorrow. Everything is okay. So constantly bringing that back, which comes in your modules as well, is bringing yourself back into the present moment and not overthinking and thinking
Yeah.
about it because it's just your inbuilt defense mechanism trying to protect you, and it brings out the older memories because that's the only way it can bring out, oh, you did that, so that's how you got into that trouble or you had that fear or whatever, so don't do that, don't go there, so anyway.
Exactly. And this is a good example of because I have some people who come into the shift who are um, really have isolated themselves. They're just at home all of the time. They're not able to go out very much anymore. They've quit work because they weren't able to function anymore to that level. They've got symptoms significantly all the time. Right through to people who have some symptoms now and again, it's bothersome, but they're still functioning, but it's just not a pleasant experience. And, it's called the shift for a reason that everyone has different shifts to different extents. But for you, what was your shifts? What did you get out of it from a change point of view? What were your biggest changes that you noticed since doing the shift?
So I think there's a couple of things. Again, reaffirming that I don't need to overthink things. I have to bring myself back to the present moment. And secondly, the WOM. WOM was massive, and the NSR. So the NSR.
And those are the things that got you there, but how does that affect your life now? Like, what does your day look like now, or how do you think differently now, or how do you show up? What's different about your life now since doing the shift?
Massively. I don't
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, well, the symptoms have subsided massively. Like I rarely have a dizzy spell. So I really enjoy going into the WOM meditation to the
Yeah,
extent that it's so ingrained in my brain that I don't sometimes need to put the audio on. I can just think it through that I'm doing that, and I
perfect.
just think it in my brain. So if I can't get to the audio, I'm sitting somewhere, I have ten minutes, I just think it through that I've gone into my, the space, my subconscious, and I'm changing it, and I'm writing on the board, and I'm visualizing whatever I've learned. It's so good to have um, even the grounding tools. I mean, I've known about the whole hug a tree, go walk on the grass, because that's how you ground yourself, and nature obviously sustains you and all that sort of stuff. I did a lot of that previously when I was going through that fight and flight, high cortisol time, which helped me immensely.
Yeah.
Uh, the days are much better. Look. I think the classic and the best example I can give is what's happened with Dad at the moment. I haven't flipped with that. I've just taken it very calmly, and every time my mind does that whole overthinking of what if something this happens, or what if he doesn't, do this or whatever, I stop it. I wheel it back to the present moment, and I say, at the moment, this is what's happening. What is going to happen will happen. I can't control it. I can't stop it. I can't do anything. So instead of going into that fear or anxiety or stress about what if, it's probably better to just be where I am at the moment and just let things go. So that's the best I can give.
You've been tested with your dad being in hospital recently, and that's a really good example of how you are putting into practice what you've learned, and you're seeing the benefits of that. So that's lovely. And so if someone was listening to this who has, whether it be fear-driven symptoms or constant dizziness, or dizziness that comes and goes, and they were considering whether the shift was right for them, would you have anything to say to them?
Yeah, definitely. I would. I think you've got to give it a try. You don't know what will click and what will work for you, and you just have to just let go. Maybe I think it's more because when you're in it, you're so worried about your how you're feeling, and it is. I went through that as well. You want to fix it. You think it's a physical thing that you can fix with a pill or going to the doctor or something, and when it doesn't get fixed, you think, oh my God, am I going to have it for the rest of my life, sort of thing. But you shouldn't give up, and you should just try things and see what clicks and what works for you.
Yeah, well said. Excellent. Thank you so much, Farzana, for coming and sharing that. So yeah, I really appreciate it.
It's all right. Anytime.
Thank you. The information provided in this video is for general educational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the guidance of your physician or other qualified health professional with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment, and never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it because of something you have seen or heard on Dizzy Resolve.